everyone. This is David Michael Ross, Instructional Design. Today we're going to go over a subject from classroom to golf course with Addie. And how do I use Addie to teach a golf swing? I kind of call this course Golf Addie or Golf Caddy. Either one that you want to use is great with me. So let's get started here. We're going to tell a narrative, a story between two guys coming out of the classroom. And with some of the thoughts I had, and maybe some of you would have shared as far as like, how do I take my subject and turn it into something that I can process through using the framework of Addie. So between these two guys, two dudes I call Brian and Michael. Here we go. So, dude, I just got out of class and I'm headed to the golf course after. How in the world do I teach my students using Addie? And what in the world does analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation have to do with a golf lesson? So could you simplify it for me, Brian? Sure. Okay. Here's a breakdown. A is for analysis. The analysis is taking a student and looking at the outcomes you would like to see occur at the end of the lesson. First, by an assessment, there's another A that goes before this. Assessment would be like exactly find out what they do know. Have they ever held a golf club in their hand, hit a golf ball, have they played before, that kind of thing, and where would you like them to be at the end of a particular lesson or a series of lessons. So it's pretty much an analysis of what you like to see and what they already have as far as their knowledge of hitting a golf ball. D is for design, building a roadmap on how you're going to accomplish these objectives. And are you going to use, what methods are you going to use? You're going to use behavioral methods where you pretty much, you hit the golf ball, tell everybody else to hit the golf ball and they hit it, or more of a constructivist method where they hit it and you kind of both arrive at a construction of what you thought happened, feedback based on that. Are you going to make them swing on command, or are you going to let them swing and give feedback? The next one is develop, D. What is the resources and structured lessons they'll need as far as do they need golf clubs? What kind of resources? Golf balls? Do they need a private area to swing? Do they need any kind of teaching aid? That kind of thing. What kind of props would they need for the particular learning? And I is for implement. How will you execute the lesson? And what will the students be doing during that time of implementation? What would be your role as far as facilitation or directing or coaching? What will theirs be as far as maybe you give them an opportunity to hit the ball, and those that hit well or those that can instruct others? Is it a co-constructive lesson? How do you implement the lesson? Determine how the lesson will shape up. And evaluate. Evaluation is a kind of a feedback mechanism where you're actually using analysis to see what methods are working for your students, what methods do they think are working, what kind of feedback are you getting, what would you do for the whole group as far as moving them along as a group or as individuals. So you would evaluate what methods are working, and you evaluate what you would do the next time you're out or the next time they're out practicing or having a golf lesson. So okay, I have a question for you. And this could go for any one of us as far as turning our particular subject into a learning objective with learning objectives. For golf, I'd say the first lesson is to have 3 learning objectives. Objective 1, show what a good golf swing looks like. This would probably be the instructor or some of the better students in the class. And then have the other students swing right afterwards. Something about, you see, tell, show, try, do. I'll tell you, you try it, and then do it. And it's kind of like you got to get people in the actual action. And it's not theoretical. It's something they have to actually do, too. And with that, they give feedback on what the golf ball is doing based on their swing. A lot of golf is actually determined by the flight of the golf ball after you strike it. And it's probably the best teaching tool. Besides the instructor, I think the golf ball actually teaches you more in some instances because you know what a good shot looks like and a bad shot looks like. And sometimes in learning objectives, we like to have people take their video, maybe their smartphone or something, and do a recorded video so they can actually see what their swing looks like from another angle and distinguish between good and bad swings. So, all right. And then we look at how would we turn these learning objectives in practical golfing instructions. I think that's the big question here. How do you convert from a sport that's very active, very kinetic and everything else, and how do you turn it into something where there's learning objectives that you're going to get and make them practical for people to understand? Well, one way we could take a look at that is starting with each student, providing feedback, assessing performance, and looking to enhance retention. Let's break these out. First, start with each student and have them individually practice and take a look at what their lessons look like in their swing. From a standpoint, go ahead and swing. How did you feel about it? What did you think about it? And then maybe give some feedback. Well, this is what I see, and maybe some things that we could look at working on. Second, providing feedback. Once someone hits the golf ball, they pretty much know if it's a good golf shot or a bad golf shot. Sometimes they won't, but most of the time they will. And, basically say, well, if you want to repeat that particular swing or that particular shot or the golf ball to leave in a certain way, you may want to do this with the club or swing this particular way or stand this particular way. So you always provide some type of feedback, not too much, because people can tell, if it's going well or not. So the next thing is to have both a co-assessment of performance. Once each student or the students have had a chance to individually hit and as a group hit golf balls, they can assess the group's collective, progress that particular day, and the individual progress that they've made, and pretty much work socially, kind of, encouraging one another and people learning from osmosis, looking at the better golfers or the better ones that can have a better golf shot, golf swing. So assessing performance, and then enhancing retention. The retention of this would be by video also, but also kind of by repetition, and to see, even if you try to hit the ball the same way 10 different times, the ball may go 10 different ways, or the ball actually goes where you want it to go, and just that overall repetitive kind of swinging, grooving that swing in, kind of gives people the retention that they need to know if they have a good golf swing. And if not, they have a bad golf swing, say, well, you're really good at swinging that particular swing, and if that's the result you want, great. But if not, this is an adjustment you can make. So, but we want to make sure that people retain what they're doing, and we do that by repetition. On the learning outcomes, what we're looking at are what key knowledge, skills, and attitudes would you want as far as basic golf fundamentals. More specifically, you want people to learn how to address the ball, how to swing the ball. In this particular scene, what we're looking at between Brian and Michael, maybe we put something like a pitching wedge into the student's hand, something where they can hit it just 20, 30 yards, something they can hit at a green flag, or something where you get a target and they can tell just by the shot whether or not it's hitting what they perceive is going to happen. So one of the things as far as the skills, you want them to have proper grip, stance, posture, that kind of thing. And attitudes is more having the attitude of a proper golf shot is when you're relaxed. A proper golf shot is when you're swinging freely, as opposed, because most people get to a mode where they're really constrained. But I think the main thing is to make sure that they have those thoughts as far as what attitudes, as far as relaxing and hitting the ball freely is something that they'll gain as they go. But that'll be more the attitude you want there. So with that, we leave you with one last question to this particular instructional series on Golf Addie. Which order, since all of us are steeped in Addie, which order do you think Addie works best? A, any order. I mean, you could start at development and go to analysis, or go to implementation, or evaluation. What order do you think works best? Is any order what you're thinking, or do you have to go pretty much in a linear fashion from A, go do the D's to the I to the E only, and that's the most effective way? So I'll leave that as a question for the group, and I really enjoyed this time with you, and hope this is helpful as far as bringing classroom thoughts, golf lessons, and incorporating Addie. Once again, thank you. It's David Ross. Have a great day.